Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. And this is your breakfast bankroll for Tuesday, February 14, 2022. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. I got into a little rant with one of my good friends, family members, colleagues, yesterday about Valentine's Day and what a racket it is, where you now can go to your local pharmacy, CVS, Brooks, whatever you have locally, and it costs $10 for a card now. Think about that, $10 for a damn card. What is the world coming to? I got my wife. I got two beautiful daughters, so right there's $30 right off the rack. And I'm saying I'm cheap or anything like that, but $10 for a card that they rip open and they look, they read, and then they say thank you, and then we move on. So there's my little rant for this morning. The day after the Super Bowl, myself and Scott will talk about it. Overall, for the ECSI VIPs, it was a great finish to a great week. We were 12-8 for the week, coming off a 5-1 Saturday, holding on to a plus 210 future with the Rams. So we cashed that. Myself and Scott talked about some early wagers on the Super Bowl, first quarter -0.5, Rams -2.5 for the halftime. I know some people got 3 that were late to the party, but 2.5 did catch, even though, that botched snap for the extra point cost someone $1 million. We'll get to that as well. Team total for the Rams and over in the game does not cash. We released a boatload of props from a good friend of ours. I'm going to give him a shout out now. Billy Krakenberg, a good friend of ours, who'll be coming on to the show hopefully this week, gave us Miss Guyton, the national anthem singer, would come out in blue plus 400, the over in the anthem. We did lose Bengals. First drive for them would be a punt, and it was a turnover. No, they went for it. I'm sorry, on fourth down from their own 50. But we got a couple other props that did cash. So for the day, we did very well. But a lot to talk to about the game itself. I have my feelings, and I know Scott does. So without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, my partner in crime, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good morning, Scotty. How are you?
I am well, Jeff, and I would have really loved to see the Chiefs in that game.
I'm going to start with this, and I think you're going to agree. We were going back and forth about it on Twitter. There was flashes of the Rams, the team that we thought, and that was obviously with OBJ in there, and the fact that, if you play the Rams season back, very simply, they lose Robert Woods. Cleveland gets tired of OBJ and his antics. He's all washed up for them, whatever it was, and he comes over to LA. A slow start, but the end of the regular season and the playoffs was a big part of their offense, and you could tell right away with what the Bengals were doing. The Cup wasn't going to beat them, but OBJ just getting into space. OBJ, I said this yesterday. OBJ listen. You could have given the MVP to Cup. Congratulations. You could have easily given it to Stafford. You easily could have given it to Donald. I mean, you go back to that third quarter where the 75-yard touchdown, which obviously was a pass interference. That was a bogus miss there. Then the 2 plays later, the drop and then the interception. And then this quick 10 points. It was the defense that willed them through the late third quarter in the fourth quarter, where they just jumped on the back of Donald and Von Miller and whatever. We talked about the sacks. 3 weeks ago, they were sacked 9 times. No one talked about it because they didn't get sacked in the Kansas City game. I just said, as we started our show, they're going to get at least 4.5 sacks, and there was only 3.5 sacks. But I guess my initial rant here, very simply, would be this: if OBJ doesn't get hurt, this game is not that close.
Yeah, OBJ was going to be on Eli Apple a lot, and I knew that, and I knew that OBJ was going to be a significant piece in this game, and that was the player I told you to take as MVP. And then he comes up hobbled, and I knew that was a problem. But that's really not true. What really rang true was that Sean McVay, for whatever reason, decided that he was going to be really conservative and not play football. He did not put his people in positions to be successful. He did not put his team in a way to attack the Bengals defense the way it needed to be done. And then it required the team to play phenomenal defense in the second half of the game. And it required them to have a drive that's never happened before. There's never been a drive for 15 plays in the Super Bowl to score a touchdown. Never. And, of course, that's what happened at the end of the game. Those players that the Rams had were so much better than the players that the Bengals had that the only way the game stayed close was because of the decisions of what plays they ran. So I've got numbers that I can share with you that show that the Rams were on first down and second down. Success rate was 40%. That's not very good. And they were 20% on first down, and they were negative EPA per play on first down, and especially negative per play on rushing on first down, which then created them to have to play third and long over and over and over and over and over. And truthfully, they were successful on a lot of that stuff. But that's not how you win football games. You know, you've got to mix it up and you've got to throw. I mean, if you're going to run the ball and then run the ball, you can at least fake it a couple of times and throw a screen pass, or you can throw a little flat pass. And those running backs were having great success against the Bengals linebackers. So Joe Burrow did not play as well as everybody thought he was going to play. And Matthew Stafford played pretty well. Now, granted, he had a couple of interceptions. One was thrown into the end zone, which might as well have served as a punt. So I didn't care about that. That didn't bother me. The other one was It was a pass that he probably could have thrown nicer or thrown better. But, it wasn't really his fault on the interception.
It was right in the guy's hands. Come on.
So he could have ran it out there and put it in his hands.
I'm going to interject right here, okay? I'm going to disagree with you on one part here, okay? And the fact of the matter is you had 2 weeks to put together a game plan, okay? Yeah. Now, I don't think enough was being said here. You taking OBJ out, okay? There was no Tyler Higbee either.
No.
Okay. So the fact of the matter, very simply, is once OBJ went down, Higbee never played, right? And their actual replacement, who had shown some flashes, Blanton, got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They tried a couple passes to Van Jefferson. He wasn't the answer. So honestly, Scott, when they were throwing those other passes to those other guys, they were like watching some of these guys try to catch the ball and hold it. They were like this because they didn't want to fumble. Your analysis on second and third down is spot on, but here's the problem. They were getting positive 4 and 5 yards on first down, or they had second and 2, and he ran the ball 89% of the time. Now, Henderson was healthy, so now he had a 3-headed monster, and I think he was dazed and confused. Listen, if you're going to try to bulldoze Akers through there, fine. it wasn't working. And I kept saying it on the timeline, especially in the third and fourth quarter. And I said it at the start of the fourth. Hey, McVay, you just got to abandon it. Now you have two great pass catching backs with Sony Michel and Henderson. You can abandon the run, let the rush come in and dink and dunk, because listen, they're offensive skilled players, not named Cup, weren't that very good. I'll line up Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins till the cows come home. Can you imagine if Stafford had those three? What would have happened? So my point is, you did not have the weapons in that second half, and McVay didn't have the game plan. I will take Shanahan 31 out of 31 days of the week. McVay was within a whisker of being 0-2 in the Super Bowl, and I clearly stated it in the fourth quarter. That was the identical Patriots versus the Rams. Death by 20,000 million paper cuts. It was disgusting.
Well, I do think that even though that they didn't have Blanton and they didn't have OBJ, I get all that. And those are quality players to be missing. I mean, I get it. And Higbee wasn't there either. But Hopkins, who was the third guy, was very good for them on tight end. He was very good. And I will also say that when you are in a spot where you have these deficits of players that you're missing, you still need to put your people in positions to win. So, when you have a negative, so I'm looking at, I got the numbers right here in front of me on the computer. So rushing, right? Akers was minus 7.3 EPA. Henderson was minus 2 EPA. Sony Michel might as well not even played. So these guys rushing the football were minus the entire time. But it's not even that. They attempted way too many opportunities with those guys, and especially Akers, who was having such a hard time trying. I mean, the cutbacks weren't there. The offensive line was doing well, except for they created the gap for the cutback when that linebackers kept running in and filling those holes. So it was very obvious to me that if those linebackers were going to fill those gaps and fill those holes, just throw the ball over their head. Run a fake, and you can throw the ball to a Hopkins or to a running back or to somebody out of the backfield, and those guys are going to be there. What is that guy's name? Saronic or whatever. He was terrible as a wide receiver. So you lose some of this stuff, but you still have weapons. And that's then up to the head coach and the offensive coordinator, who in this basic formula is the same guy, to formulate the adjustments to make the plays happen that puts their teams in successful positions. And I didn't think they did that. However, if you, and I'm going to switch my screen here for 1 second to the drives, because the drives are amazing. Once it loads here, for the Bengals, I wanted to share this because in the first half, the Bengals had 5. They had 6 drives, and the one drive was just a knee on the ball. So let's just count them as 5 drives. And in the 5 drives, they had 2 drives that were, one was 76 yards and one was 75 yards. Or I'm sorry, one was 50 yards, one was 76 yards, one was a field goal, one was a touchdown. After that, the very first drive, they threw that one pass for 75 yards and a touchdown. Then there's a turnover, and they move the ball 11 yards and they kick a field goal. Okay, so after that 11 yards, they kicked a field goal, Jeff. They had 5 more drives. They had 5 more drives, and they accumulated -3 yards, 5 yards, -2 yards, 24 yards, and 26 yards. That's it. They accumulated basically 50 yards in the whole second half after that one play and after the turnover play. So the defense, and you said this before, but the defense is what kept them in the game. But that was because the offense for the Rams did so many stupid things. Do you realize that they got the ball at their own 44-yard line, their own 48-yard line, and did nothing with it? when they could have put some points on the board. Even they got long range field goal kickers both sides, and all they had to move the ball was 20 yards on each one of those situations, and they could have had field goal, whatever. I thought personally that was ridiculous, what they were doing and how they were doing it and what they were trying to accomplish. So I was not impressed with McVay yesterday. I wasn't necessarily impressed with Taylor either, but I mean, I wasn't impressed with McVay because he had the better team. And if you have the better team, you're the better coach. You need to put these people in a position to win, and he didn't. And the players then overcame that anyway. And on that last drive where they went down the field and it was a 2-minute drive and they got inside and blah, blah, I bet you Stafford called half those plays. And the tempo plays, and he was running up to the line of scrimmage. I'll bet you that McVay didn't call those passes.
We talked at length about, on paper was a mismatch. We talked on length the home team versus what happens if this was actually on a neutral field or even at Cincinnati. The second half starts, the miss PI, and then the turnover. I mean, 10 points in a blink of an eye. And when Cincinnati had a couple opportunities after the inept offense by the Rams and failed to, you could feel that momentum. You could feel the defense turning it on. And then it was just sack, pressure, sack. Donald is just a beast. And I was kind of shocked, before the game started, where the rumor starts coming out that he had said, he was thinking about retirement. And Jesus, I mean, I go out on top. The guy's just physically impossible to single-handedly try to defend. It takes 2 and 3 guys. If this is the way he wants to go out, again, God bless you. There's just way too many mistakes. I just think, Cincinnati just found ways all playoffs to get through it. I mean, and as bad as the O-line, I can't say as bad as the O-line played in the second half. It's just they were on paper, they were going to be manhandled. They held up in the first half, but as the pressure, Joe still had the ball, and they were within literally a couple first downs of bringing in McPherson, and there was going to be the 23-23, and here we go, another overtime. It would have got to the over, obviously. Which
I was hoping for that because I had that one prop. There was played 950. The game was going to go into overtime, and I'm like, hell yeah, this game's going to go into overtime. And then the Rams can score a touchdown, win the game in overtime, and we cover all that shit. We get the overs, we get everything overs, and we get that big prop at the end. And I'm like, holy Christ, this is going to be great. Plus, I had the Rams over 3.5 touchdowns. They scored 3 touchdowns, and shit, they could have probably scored 5 if they wanted to.
And I'm going to bring up the stupidity again of McVay. Once they got the PI and they had a 1st and goal for the 1, and Cincinnati still had 3 timeouts. I'm like, are you guys going to be this stupid and keep throwing the ball? Worst case scenario, I know you can't run the ball. You got to make them burn 1 or 2 timeouts here. And then your flip side, 3rd and 1, Cincinnati had it. They've been running the ball effectively with Mixon. You got to get the first down first and then move. And again, they passed those last 2 downs. And, the last one was about to be a sack, and he just threw it up there. You know what? I'm going to say this, and if I get chastised for it, good. I am damn glad the NFL is over with. I am. I just am. I just think it's a great product. It's the hardest sport to physically consistently win. And you just can't get any sharper. And I always talk about the Super Bowl where there's at least one of those sides that all the tickets are losses. Well, this Super Bowl, it was both sides. Anyone that bet the over from start to finish lost. Anyone with a Rams ticket from start to finish lost. 3.5, 4, 4.5, 4, 3.5. Okay. It didn't get back to 3. The only Ram ticket winners were the futures or the money line. That was it. And that's what happens in the Super Bowl. They're just, they're just so spot on. Scotty, I talked about this 2 weeks ago when I heard this. I talked about it again at length yesterday. Westgate was sitting in their office before, right as the championship games were getting over. Their number was 2.5. They were spot on. It landed on 3. Their number was 2.5, and they were afraid to get it to 2.5 because they would have got that onslaught from the 2.5 to the 3 number. They would have got the onslaught again, maybe from the 3 to the 3.5. So you can't beat them. You join them. And listen, hey guys, I'm going to say this one more time, okay? For everyone on Twitterville that is applauding all those tickets with the 2320 and the guys that made $1 bazillion, okay? Can you please ask them to show you the 25 other losing tickets, okay? Don't be so gullible, okay? Don't be so gullible.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I don't mind the NFL season. I don't mind the college football season. I like football. I get excited for football after 6 months of baseball. When football comes around and it's time to talk football, I enjoy that. But at the same time, right before the show, I'm sitting here and I got 2 things up on Fangraphs right now. I got the Atlanta Braves roster resource up. And what else do I have up? I'm just looking right now. I have the Milwaukee Brewers projected baseball batters up, and what's happening there because I've been talking about one of the articles I want to write is about the National League DH and which teams are going to benefit from that. And I'm looking and the roster resource has the National League with DHs in it. And has a projected lineup of what they're going to be looking like. And I'm looking at this Braves lineup and I'm going, holy goddamn, where are these guys going to play? And then I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, what's interesting is that they can't put some of these guys on there, right? Because Freddie Freeman's not signed. And it's also interesting that Eddie Rosario's not signed, right? So, and he came over on that thing and he was magnificent for them. And then, the other one who's not signed is Jorge Soler. So, but if you think about that, right, Jorge Soler is not signed, and neither is Eddie Rosario, and those are their outfielders. And then this is the outfield that they got. They got Marcell Ozuna and Adam Duvall. Acuna's hurt, right? So they're stacked if they sign these guys and they can put some guys in at DH. They're stacked in that lineup. The guys they have in there right now are Drew Waters and Christian Posh. Now, Christian Posh might play. Now, he's a young kid that is great defensively and can run like the wind. But this team's going to be damn good again. And then the pitching rotation is Fried, Morton, Anderson, Yanoa, and Tucker Davidson, and that's because Soroka's hurt. Holy shit, Jeff! The Braves are pretty good.
Can you make sure at the end of the show you either email me or text me that link?
For roster resource?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. Roster resource is phenomenal. If you've never used it, it's great because it breaks it down. It shows you the roster moves they've already made. It shows you the pending free agents that they have. It also shows you their roster, and then within the organization what the kids rank, and then what they rank within overall baseball where they're at. And then if you go down from the starting lineup, it'll go down to, okay, here's catchers, right? So here's how many catchers they have in the organization and where they're at and what they're doing and how good they are. Oh, it's just awesome.
And I just want to clarify this. I don't despise, I don't hate football. I love the kids. I love college football. I love college basketball. And the fact that football is now officially over. Now the focus, it's always been, don't get me wrong, but the focus clearly for us is on the kids. And then, we dabble in the NBA and NHL, of course, till we get to those playoffs as well. But I'm a kids guy. But the NFL, listen, I partake in the Circa contests. I've partaked in the Superbook contests. I love it. And Sundays for us has always been action parlay. We'll pick and choose. I'm not one of these guys or services that will go out there and give you 8 or 9 NFL Sunday games because 4 win, 4 lose. We know how that goes. But I was just glad that it's over. And listen, you know what? And I'll close the Super Bowl with this. The Rams were all in. I mean, just look, they're $1 bazillion over the cap. They were just like the Dodgers bringing in big names, and the Lakers bringing in big names. Hats off, you got your championships. The Dodgers got it when they brought Mookie over. The Lakers got it when they brought LeBron over. And then the Rams build a new stadium. They bring Stafford over. They bring OBJ over. They bring Ramsey over. They bring Von Miller over. And the list is endless. And they won the Super Bowl. Okay, so God bless you. You did what you had to do, and that sometimes is a way that you win championships. You talk about the Braves in baseball last year. Okay, they were gifted that outfield. They didn't have an outfield. They were gifted that outfield that caught fire. And guess what? Their best player was hurt, and they still won the championship, which is just, as I'm an owner and they gave the long-term contract to Acuna, I'm like, holy shit. As much as I love Acuna and as electric as he is, we won the damn championship without him.
Well, I will tell you that was yeoman's work that the general manager did to get that thing set up that way. It clicked for them. I don't know that they imagined it would click the way that it clicked, but at the same time, that was risk versus reward that paid off. And they got Duvall from the Marlins, and then he goes out and hits 30 home runs, and they get Rosario at the end there, and oh my God, he was lightning for them. He was energy. That guy was energy, and they needed him. So I look. I think executives get paid a lot of money, and they should do a lot of positive things. And when they do, they should be rewarded for that. And this guy, I think it's Anthopoulos, right? That's who's there, I think, did an awesome job. And the Braves won because of that. And I think that, you go and you look at, some of the things that happen. And I think that the NFL and we talked about Shanahan and how I love Shanahan. I don't think that Shanahan, I guess the best way I should say this is I don't think they should be head coaches. I think they should be what they are. And if you're going to be an offensive coordinator, then you get paid like a head coach, but go be the offensive coordinator. And you are accountable for putting your team in the best successful positions to win. And I think when you're McVay, if you are trying to be the head coach and you're trying to be the offensive coordinator, but you're also trying to be this smart guy, dating women guy on the outside, being a young whippersnapper guy, it gets all discombobulated, separated out. And that's what they do in Major League Baseball. The general manager does all the stuff, and then the on-field manager just makes sure that he uses the tools the way he's supposed to. And it's a combination of working together to understand the vision of what the general manager has. Because in baseball, the general manager runs the team. I don't care what you think about what the manager on field is. He's not the guy. It's the general manager who tells the manager what to do. And what they do is work together to utilize the tools that they have. And then when they don't work together, that's when you have all these problems and chaos and issues that go on in dugouts and things like that. So anyway, it's a different thing. And I know the NFL has all this stuff about, all these coaches coming. Bill Belichick, for example, I know he likes the defense and all that stuff, but he doesn't necessarily call the plays on the defense. He lets the defense coordinator do it. And I think that's where he puts his team in a position to use the best talents and win, because he lets those guys do what they want, but oversees that. And I think that's what a head coach is supposed to do.
And I'm going to close with this, as you were hitting on the Braves. If I am someone in the National League, especially, and I just listened to what you said, I go right for the heartbeat. And I overpay for Freddie Freeman. I know Atlanta had opportunities in the offseason before the lockout to say, here's a contract. Thank you so much. Let's finish your career with the Braves. and let's all live happily ever after. Maybe even take a little hometown discount. Okay, I go right for the heart. And I said this tongue in cheek. If I was the Red Sox, he is the perfect guy that I would want in his last contract. He would be the glue for that infield. You got the kids over there with Xander. You got Devers will work on second base. We got a couple options over there at Kiki and someone else we just brought over. But the fact of the matter is, Freddie Freeman can solve so many holes for so many teams with leadership, with lefty bat, with the glove at first, that well worth the effort. And you're taking a nice heartbeat out of the Braves.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? So that's part of what you have to look at when you're in the division, because the Braves won the division, and now the Mets have signed all these pitchers and done all this stuff to try to be really good. The Nationals sold everybody away. The Phillies are still pretty good. So you're still got to keep up with those three teams. But if you're one of those other teams that can get in there and get this guy away, then that helps you and hurts them. And that's that. How many years in a row have the Red Sox Yankees done that shit? Back and forth. They try to hurt each other with the play. They might not even need a player, and they'll go get him because they don't want the other guy to get him. So, I mean, that stuff should happen, and that should be sort of the way these games work out. But I don't know that they think that way anymore. I mean, a lot of them are more about, I want to strengthen my team to a point in which they're stronger than the other guys in my division. And they don't really think about hurting the other team of getting these players. So I don't know. I guess there's lots of different philosophies to run a team or run a business.
We spent 33 and a half minutes on wrapping up the Super Bowl, talking a little baseball. I got the board up there. Just a quick look. If you have any early thoughts on the NBA right now, it looks like there's 9 games. Take it away.
Yeah, I played one already. It's the Portland and Milwaukee game. I played that game. I played under 232. What's the line now, Jeff? I can't. I got a bunch of other stuff up.
You got a 230 or 230 and a hook.
Okay, so it's coming down. I'm okay with 230 or 230 and a hook. I wouldn't go under 230. Now here's the logic behind the play. So Portland is one of the weaker scoring offenses in all of basketball. So I think that they're gonna let's just assume that they're gonna score right around 100 to 105 points, right around 100 to 105 points. So if that's the case, then you're gonna need 230. So that means that the Milwaukee team is going to have to win this game by 25 points to get to 230. And if it's 200, they got to score 230 points, or they got to score 30 points over the number of where they're at. So I think that it's a stretch to assume that they're going to get to 232. So even at the last 5 or the last 2 weeks number, mine comes out to 100 to 125. Now that's 25 points. That's a big number. So that makes it still under 230 and under 232, because that's 225. And if you look at the home and away numbers, it's actually Portland 103, Milwaukee 115. That's 218. So I think this game is going to be under, because to go over, Milwaukee's going to need to score almost 140 points. So can they do that? Probably. But will they do that? Probably not. I don't think there's a reason for them to go and say, I got to score 140 points in this game. And the defense for Milwaukee at home, they are 2% better than the average defense. So I like the idea that Portland's going to struggle to get to 100 to 105 points today. So that's the game that I played already. I'm going to be looking at some of the other ones. New York plays OKC today, and there are 8-point favorites right now. And maybe it's more than that. Now it's still 8. They're 8-point favorites, and that's a low total as well. It's 207 or 206, something like that. And what I like here is that it's a low total, which means 100, somewhere in that neighborhood. It gets to 200, and they still got to cover 8 against OKC. And this is a team in New York that is 3 wins and 11 losses in their last 14 games. So I kind of like the idea of looking at OKC here, but I wanted to kind of look at one thing I want to delve into is coaches speak and some other stuff, because this is that same team in New York that the last time they played, they squandered a 23-point lead. So I'm going to guess they might be a little bit fired up to play a little bit today, or a little bit more juiced up. So I still think 8 points is a lot against OKC though. And the last game that I'm looking at, and it can change. I mean, that's just what I'm looking at for the morning, is Golden State and the Clippers. These are two teams that are more known for their defense than they are for going out and scoring a million points. And the total is 222, right? And I don't think it's going to get to 222. I think that's going to be an under number there. So I'm going to look at those a little bit deeper. But I already played the under in the Milwaukee-Portland game.
Well, I just have to laugh here because your kryptonite opened 4.5-point favorites at Brooklyn.
Yep. Brooklyn's lost 11 straight games. Did you know that? 11 straight games they've lost.
So no KD, no Kyrie, because it's a home game. Harden has left the building. I obviously don't know the details between Seth Curry, Drummond, who in TikTok and some other videos both look like they are more than disappointed for the fact that they're heading to Brooklyn. And then obviously the what's going on with Ben Simmons. But guys, listen, I talk about opening numbers. I talk about Vegas trying to create a story. Our job is to end the story with a happy ending. And obviously that's by winning and grinning and cashing a ticket. Vegas hits me over with the dummy stick and tells me that Sacramento was 4.5-point favorites at Brooklyn. Oh, that was like the other day, Scott, Friday to be exact, when that under over was 241. I'm like, they are telling us to take the over. And it went flying over. So we will get back into that. Great insight as always. I'm going to just touch on the college ranks here very quickly. There's a couple day games before the 7 o'clock tip-offs, 2 p.m., William and Mary at NC Wilmington. If you haven't followed NC Wilmington, they've been an absolute cash cow. That's all they do is cash tickets. We got the only one that they haven't cashed last week, but just don't go against them. And I'm not telling you to jump on the train. Opened at 13, now 12.5-point favorites against William and Mary. 5 o'clock game is definitely going to be an interesting one. St. Louis at the Bonnies. Bonnies opened up at 1, now 2.5-point favorites. Bonnies with a big win over the weekend. St. Louis with a loss. 57% of the bets, 50% of the money coming in on St. Louis. Yet that's gone from 1 to 2 to 2.5. Do you have any numbers on that, Scott?
Yeah, it's pretty early. What that William and Mary North NC Wilmington game is the highest bet game so far, even over the NBA games. There's $20,000 bet on that already this morning. But the St. Louis St. Bonaventure game is only $3,700 bet on it so far. And it's showing 62% of the cash is on St. Louis, 52% of the tickets are on St. Bonaventure.
So a little reverse line movement already on the Bonnies. I've been talking till I'm blue in the face to anyone that wants to listen. This is not that St. Bonnie's team last year that rattled off 15, 16, 17 straight covers. They're good. Don't get me wrong, but they seem still to be the public darling. I would probably guess by watching this that they'll end up being 3-point favorites by the time this game goes off. This St. Louis team's been a dangerous team. When they're clicking, they've cashed some nice tickets for us. So just keep an eye out on that one. 7 o'clock, West Virginia at K-State, rotation number 871, 872. K-State opens up -3, now -4. Had a rough weekend as usual. They put in the spots where they end up being the public darling, the home dog, the public trendy dog, whatever you want to call it. And then they just run out of gas and lay an egg. Again, today, now they're the favorite against Huggy Bear and his West Virginia team, which is not one of his better teams. 66% of the bets, 55% of the money coming in on K-State. Opened at 3, now flat 4.
Yeah, I'm showing almost 10,000 on this game, which is pretty high so far. 74% of the money's 81% of the tickets on Kansas State.
Yeah, I did never like them as a favorite. Not that I'm back in West Virginia there as well, so we'll keep our eyes open there. 7 o'clock, rotation number 879, 880, Virginia at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech opened up at 5.5, now 4.5. Tech was a winner for us on Saturday against Syracuse. Virginia's just been one of those dogs of dogs this year. Not that good. The ACC has been down all year. It's going to be fun on Selection Sunday how they try to force feed us and blow smoke up our skirts on why 5 teams deserve to be in there, which is just on name alone. Virginia Tech opened at 5.5, now down to 4.5. Money pouring in on Virginia. 68% of the bets, 70% of the money.
I'm showing 76% of the money, 78% of the tickets on Virginia.
Good little game here in Delaware. James Madison versus Delaware, rotation number 883, 884. Again, we had, I'll probably confuse the games. We went against Delaware Saturday. I want to say it was Hofstra. We had a box to wire win there. And then in this game here, 72% of the bets, 86% of the money coming in on JMU. Delaware opened at 5.5, now a flat 6. If those numbers are correct, got some early reverse line movement on Delaware.
Yeah, this is only showing $5,800 so far. 91% of the money on James Madison and 75% of the tickets on Delaware.
Okay. 9 o'clock start, rotation number 895, 896, Dayton at Rhodey. I talked on this show Saturday. Rhodey was in an amazing spot, 3-point dogs at home against a Davidson team that has just been a cash cow. And it was a perfect spot for Rhodey. Box to wire, they go. Not just covering, they won the game outright. Now in comes Dayton. This game is always a war. Dayton opens up 2-point favorites, now 1.5 at Circa and Westgate. 57% of the bets, 72% of the money, all coming in on the Flyers. If these numbers are correct, early reverse line movement on Brody.
Yeah, this is very low dollars, so it's only $1,400. So it's I don't know how much you trust the numbers. So 62% of the money, 52% of the tickets showing on Rhode Island.
All right, keep an eye on that one. I'm getting conflicting information, obviously, with these two sources there. Okie State at Kansas. There was a neat little number or nugget, I should say. Kansas was coming off a home loss over the weekend, and the last time they lost back-to-back at home was 1989, and they rolled on Saturday. Okie State comes in, rotation number 897, 898. Kansas opened up at 12, now down to 10.5. 53% of the bets, 74% of the money coming in on the Cowboys of Okie State.
Well, it's just showing 61% of the money, 73%, or 61% of the money on Oklahoma State, 73% of the tickets on Kansas.
I mean, it's gone from 12 to 10.5. Keep your eyes on that one. Georgetown Creighton. I talked at length Saturday that this game smelt to high heaven. This Georgetown team just can't win. It'll be interesting to see what Georgetown does with Patrick Ewing at the end of the season. They're still looking for their first Big East win of the year. This game, they opened up 11-point dogs. Now they're 10.5 across the Vegas Strip. I'm showing 66% of the bets, 74% of the money on Creighton.
Well, this is showing 53% of the money on Georgetown, 72% of the tickets on Creighton.
I mean, you're getting a sharper, heavier side on Georgetown. I'll keep our eyes on that one. Georgetown just been breaking hearts. That's all I can say. Santa Clara, Portland canceled. And the last game of the night is really intriguing because it's that time of year that Oregon just usually takes it to another level and steamrolls. And I think Vegas is very, very coy and sharp to it. And the public has just been waiting and been betting Oregon. And they've just been dogs. They've been ugly. And here's the game here against Washington State. Rotation number 903, 904. A game where Oregon opened at 3.5, now up to 5 across the Vegas Strip. 67% of the bets, 61% of the money on the Ducks.
Well, this is showing higher than that. So it's only $3,000 bet so far, but 92% of the money, 83% of the tickets on Oregon.
Yeah, listen, that line opened up too low. They're looking for Oregon money. They're getting Oregon money. Just keep an eye on that. Washington State dangerous in this spot. Not saying Oregon doesn't win by double digits. I'm not saying that, guys. The fact of the matter is, though, that number opened up real low. Closing thoughts, Scott.
Closing thoughts are that I wish the Super Bowl had the best teams in it, and I'm happy for the Bengal players and the Bengal fans that they were there. But I didn't like the game. Anyway, that being said, it was a close game. It was a competitive game. It was a game that, like, my wife, who doesn't even like football and stuff, would sit there and was like, "Oh, well, at least it was a competitive game," and and that stuff. After she fell asleep and woke up and find the final score was whatever. So I think that I'm all excited. As far as I'm concerned, it's baseball time, and I will be doing all kinds of different things related to baseball and putting stuff out. And I will be updating my website every day, probably here in the next starting today, I imagine. And I got a whole bunch of articles to write and a whole bunch of research to do. And I will be ready whenever we have the season. I will be ready.
My closing thoughts real quick is, again, we talked, Kansas City would have been a great game against the Rams. I'm not saying yesterday's game wasn't great. Don't take it the wrong way. I said from Jump Street, and I will close with this, okay? All you Bengal fans, congrats. I hope you embraced the moment. I hope you really took it in, because I compared this to Dan Marino. Dan Marino, in his second year, got the Dolphins to the Super Bowl against San Francisco and also lost. And everyone's expecting, well, don't worry, Dan, you're going to get there numerous times. We know that you're going to get your Super Bowl win as well. And Dan never got back. So embrace the moment, enjoy it. Secondly, hats off to Matt Stafford. That was the one guy that I really, really, really glad for. Obviously, same with Aaron Donald, Whitmore, and all those guys. Congrats, you won the championship. A lot of talk now will be, is Stafford a Hall of Famer? I will just say this. He has as many Super Bowl rings as Aaron Rodgers. I'm not comparing him to Aaron Rodgers, but he has as many Super Bowl rings as Aaron Rodgers. And yes, he will be a Hall of Famer. As much as you hate to say that, he look at his stats, look at his numbers, look at all his years of misery in Detroit. He comes over to LA and they won the Super Bowl. Case closed. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from my co-host, my partner in crime, Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day. Anyone wagering and investing early today, always remember this. If you have a problem, there's an 800 number available. Pick up the phone, ask for help. Why? Because we care. We would like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson, Scotty Webb, we wish you a blessed day. Enjoy it. It's a new start, new week, and a new beginning. We will see you soon.